Watching Arizona PBS, a viewer-supported community service of Arizona State University.
Tickets are now available for the annual Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Journalism Luncheon, held Thursday, October 19th at the Sheraton Grand Phoenix. Join media industry and community leaders in honoring award-winning co-anchors and co-managing editors of the PBS NewsHour, Judy Woodruff and the late Gwen Ifill. To learn more or to purchase tickets, call 602-496-0482 or visit cronkite.asu.edu/luncheon.
Coming up next on Arizona PBS, Life and World. When you want to be more connected, friend us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, watch us online. Coming soon to Arizona PBS.
Somewhere around 80% of our casualties came from landmines of all sorts. In Vietnam, for me, just to get up in the morning and look out at the land and think, in a few minutes I'll be walking out there, and will my corpse be there or there? Will I lose a leg out there? I would sometimes look at my legs as I walk, thinking, how am I doing this?
Support for Arizona PBS comes from viewers like you and from
Hospice of the Valley, medical, social, and spiritual care for patients nearing end of life, and support for their families. A not-for-profit community hospice, HOV.org.
I'm David Goldstein, owner of Biltmore Loan and Jewelry. We buy or loan on upscale assets. We have over 30 years of experience in determining values of automobiles, jewelry, art, collectibles, and antiques. For more information and appointments, biltmoreloan.com.
From the Cronkite Studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
A national tragedy turns into an annual day of service, while Arizonans are growing new life to mark the day.
Plus, 9/11 left Americans with uneasy feelings toward radical Islam. Another event is helping to change views on the traditionally peaceful religion.
And wrong-way drivers are a growing problem that has the governor concerned. We'll tell you how a Valley driving school is trying to help keep you safe while on the road.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Sydney Eisenberg.
And I'm Victoria Mendoza. Thank you for joining us.
Today marks the 16th anniversary of the September 11th attacks. In New York City today, thousands came together as they remembered the lives lost.
Walter A. Matuza Jr.,
Timothy J. Maud,
Jill Morrow Campbell.
Nearly 3,000 people died when hijackers took over 4 planes. 2 hit the World Trade Center towers in New York, a 3rd crashed into the Pentagon, and the 4th crashed in Pennsylvania after passengers on board fought back. The president spoke at the Pentagon this morning, saying we'll never forget, while Vice President Mike Pence went to Pennsylvania, where he laid a wreath at the memorial in Shanksville. And a little closer to home, a field of flags to honor the lives lost on this day 16 years ago. The city of Tempe is continuing its annual tradition of placing nearly 3,000 flags at Tempe Beach Park. Tonight, they'll host a candlelit vigil at 7. In honor of 9/11, Keep Phoenix Beautiful hosted a day of service to clean up gardens, parks, and neighborhoods around the valley. Reporter Drew Marine takes us to one of the 9 locations being renovated.
It's a day that we'll never forget.
Volunteers from around the community are turning a once abandoned lot into a community space as a way to pay homage to 9/11 and thank those who are military veterans.
You know, we do have some people on our team that have served, so it's definitely a way for all of us to give back on this day, being what took place, 16, 17 years ago.
And for neighbor of the garden, Paul Jenkins, this volunteerism means more to him than they may realize.
I served in the Navy 6 years. My father was in the Navy during World War II. My godfather was in the Navy in World War II, and he ended up being a pilot in the New York Harbor after the war, and just very, very patriotic, and really hits at home.
And he's helping provide natural pest control.
Our chickens are gonna come over and they're gonna smell all the bugs.
While this garden is still a work in progress, you'll be able to see at their grand opening at the end of the month. This house to my left, a solar paneled house provided by Arizona State University. It'll be used as a community space and be taking up a portion of the garden up until about this spot right here, where there will be a flower garden that the community can see where the volunteers put in their hard work today.
Until its big reveal, Keep Phoenix Beautiful and volunteers will continue to work to make a difference in this community. In Phoenix, Drew Marine, Cronkite News.
The grand opening of this garden will be on October 28th near 19th Avenue and Pearson.
In the aftermath of the terror attacks, Muslims at times became targets of hate and bigotry in the U.S., something that community is still hoping to change even today. Cronkite News reporter Fortessa Latifi tells us how.
One of the ways they are trying to achieve that is by holding a local Meet a Muslim Day. Their goal is to show the community their similarities outweigh their differences. On Saturday morning, Muslims from the Phoenix community set up shop on the corner of 5th Street and Mill Avenue for Meet a Muslim Day. Latif Ahmed was there, sign in hand.
The reason often people have negative opinion about others is because they don't know them. But once you get to meet them, once you get to see them face to face, it's pretty difficult to hate somebody that you know.
Organizers say the point of this event is to break down walls and dispel. Paul Cauldron, a Christian man, stopped to thank the Muslim men.
It's been hijacked by jihadists, so they need to recapture what their faith is about and what it represents. So I admire these young men coming out and trying to get the word out.
However, not everyone was as receptive as Cauldron. As they stood on the street, the group faced derogatory comments from some passersby.
Bye. Thank you. Have a nice day. That's okay. We face that every day.
Sufyan Ahmed got the brunt of some of it.
It makes me feel kind of sad that people take assumptions about us and think they just don't even talk to us, just straight up call idiots, don't listen to us, to what we want to say. But if they listened to what we wanted to say, I think they would change their mind.
And that's what this event was all about. Muslims took part in Meet a Muslim Day in 80 cities across the country over the weekend, Tempe being one of them. In the broadcast center, Fortessa Latifi, Cronkite News.
Former Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio's contempt of court case took another turn today. Federal prosecutors are now asking a judge to dismiss the case entirely. This comes after Arpaio was pardoned by President Donald Trump last month. Arpaio's defense team immediately asked for the verdict to be thrown out, and now prosecutors agree that the case is irrelevant following the pardon.
Latino Democrats in Congress are pushing for the DREAM Act to protect DACA recipients. Nearly 30,000 people in Arizona are protected from deportation under DACA, but the Trump administration wants to end the program in less than 6 months. Cronkite News reporter Adrian St. Clair has the latest in our Washington bureau.
Democrats Raul Grijalva from Arizona and Luis Gutierrez from Illinois told Dreamers last week that Democrats are prepared to use the budget as leverage to pass the DREAM Act swiftly. Gutierrez spoke passionately in support of Dreamers and said he refuses to give up the fight, even though the Republicans outnumber the Democrats in both the House and the Senate.
We do not have to pay ransom to the hostage takers, nor we will pay it.
He emphasized that Republicans still need Democratic support.
I remind everybody here today, they walked away, 90 of them. They didn't pass the budget with a majority of Republicans. Their proposal, they didn't pass it. Debt ceiling, Harvey, nothing. They need Democrats.
Grijalva said there will be significant consequences if there's no movement on a Clean Dream Act starting in September, but by December at the latest.
The consequences are that that budget without Democratic support doesn't pass, the debt ceiling it doesn't get risen, and then we have another drama on our hands.
DACA recipients filled the room, shouting their commitment to their futures.
Here to stay, here to stay, here to
Phoenix resident Hugo Juarez came to D.C. to talk to lawmakers about the DREAM Act and tell his story. He says keeping the essence of DACA in place is an issue of basic human rights, and he will stand and fight.
I don't think any human being should be deciding on how to live our lives. That we should be in fear of our lives. And I'm like, I'm not gonna hide. I think I hid for 10 years when I was in Phoenix, and I'm not gonna hide anymore.
In Washington, Adrienne St. Clair, Cronkite News.
All 4 Democrats in Arizona's delegation have signed on to the House version of the DREAM Act of 2017. The Senate version of the bill has drawn bipartisan backing, including the support of Arizona Republican Senator Jeff Flake. Our Cronkite News teams are working across Arizona as well as in Washington, D.C. and Los Angeles to track the impact of this DACA decision. We'll have continuing coverage on air and online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Senators Jeff Flake and John McCain have introduced a landmark water settlement bill aiming to protect Arizona's water supply as well as economic opportunities for the Hualapai tribe. This bill would ratify an agreement between the tribe, the state, and several water providers to provide the Hualapai people with 4,000 acre-feet of water from the Colorado River each year. The senators say that supply would allow for infrastructure projects near the Grand Canyon, but also protect water levels at Lake Mead and other reservoirs.
The National Park Service is moving ahead with a plan to reduce the number of bison in Grand Canyon National Park. The proposal calls for culling the herd through either hunting or herding the animals. Bison were first introduced north of the canyon in the 1920s, but they've since started moving into the northern rim, where they cannot be hunted. There are now between 400 and 600 bison, and those numbers can harm the canyon environment through overgrazing. The goal of the program is to eventually reduce the herd to 200 bison.
Low participation is threatening Phoenix's plan to keep green waste and recyclables out of landfills. Phoenix residents can choose to send green waste to a composting facility, but the Arizona Capital Times reports that less than 4% of the 158,000 eligible properties are participating. Reimagine Phoenix has a plan to reach a 40% diversion rate by 2020, yet the rate has only moved 4% since the program began in 2013. Another wrong-way crash in Phoenix sent 4 more people to the hospital.
It's a growing problem here in Arizona. Coming up on Cronkite News, we'll tell you how the installation of ADOT's wrong-way detection system is going.
Plus, Phoenix Children's Hospital is expanding. We'll give you a tour of their new digs and what it means for thousands of kids who get treated there.
When a story comes in the morning, we're out the door as fast as we can go.
But it's also great to spend more time in communities and produce projects.
From the borderlands to the cities, the reservations, and even the state capitol, we want to get to the heart of the matter.
When the lights come on in the studio, we know our hard work is about to pay off.
We love what we do here at Cronkite News.
We're proud to tell the stories of our state.
Now more than ever, it's important to have a trusted news source, and that's Cronkite News.
This fall.
I'm so excited!
What? From the inspiring to the amazing.
You're in the presence of history.
The compelling.
He said, "Welcome home." It was just a powerful moment.
To the astounding.
I promised myself I wouldn't cry.
And from the breathtaking.
This is real.
A journey to Mars.
To the electrifying.
We're going to change the world.
All this and more. All this fall.
Oh my God! Early Friday morning, a wrong-way crash on I-10 near 19th Avenue injured 7 people. That's just the latest in a string of crashes. Since January, Arizona Department of Public Safety officers have responded to nearly 1,200 wrong-way driver calls, and 14 people have died in accidents. But as April Morganroth shows us, there is training to help drivers react to and avoid wrong-way drivers.
Wrong-way driver, and
we introduce them to a lifetime of horrible events that could potentially happen out there. Hopefully they will never encounter them, but if they do, they have a recall.
Maria and Richard Wojcik created this simulator to help drivers learn what to do if a wrong-way driver comes barreling toward the user.
Your immediate reaction is to stop. And in most cases, putting your foot on the brake is the wrong answer.
The right answer is to see the danger as early as possible. Listen to the traffic around you. For every minute or mile, it's best to check your rearview mirror and to your left and right for 3 seconds.
Eye movement and eye lead time, how much you're looking out, and then how much you're looking around you. So it's an actual way in which to scan your environment.
But for the best prevention, DPS said there's a lane drivers should avoid, especially late at night.
Statistics have shown and studies have shown that wrong-way drivers tend to stay on what they believe is their right-hand side. So as they're driving the wrong way, they're actually driving generally in the HOV lane, which would be your left-hand lane.
Director Alberto Gutierrez at Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety said technology can decrease the number of wrong-way crashes.
We need to look at everything and all that can reduce that incidence. And the governor was very clear to us on a direct order saying, find a way to reduce the number of wrong-way driver crashes.
Both Lee and Gutierrez say they are open to creative solutions from the public. In Phoenix, April Morganroth, Cronkite News.
And right now, the Arizona Department of Transportation is working on a first-of-its-kind wrong-way driver detection system. The $3.7 million project will use thermal cameras to detect wrong-way cars and alert drivers that one is coming, while at the same time alerting ADOT and DPS. Construction on the pilot project is already underway. The northbound I-17 off-ramp at Thomas will be shut down over the next few days as they continue the installation. ADOT says it expects the system to be in place on I-17 by early next year.
Phoenix Children's Hospital just completed a $40 million renovation. Nikirika Omarenye talked to employees to find out what the public can expect.
Phoenix Children's Hospital will open a new emergency department later this month.
This is a great thing for our hospital and our community, as this will give us an opportunity to continue to care for the sickest children in Arizona and to take care of more children at the same time.
Plans for the new emergency department, or ED, have been ongoing for the past 5 years. The hospital raised $40 million for the project in 2015, and more space has been the most crucial improvement.
There are 63 exam rooms, 3 procedure rooms, and 6 trauma bays, which is way larger than what they are today.
The old emergency department was built to treat about 30,000 patients, which wasn't enough for the 80,000 patients who actually came through.
When we have backup in our current ED over there, people leave. And so it's not serving the community. And we want all the kiddos to come here and be served. And that's our main focus.
With the new addition, 80 to 100,000 kids a year will be able to come through the only Level 1 pediatric trauma center in Arizona. This comes just in time to accommodate the state's growing child population.
You know, we're looking at probably adding another 500,000 to 1 million children over the next 5 to 6 years. And so those are children that need to be seen and need to have health care.
One of the best benefits of the new location of the ED is the proximity to the helipad. Patients will come down this elevator and walk only 2 minutes as opposed to what took 5 minutes before. And every minute counts in a trauma situation. In Phoenix, I'm Nikirika Omarenye, Cronkite News.
The emergency department will officially open its doors to the public on September 20th. Hurricanes Irma and Harvey have carved a path of destruction.
We've seen families uprooted from their homes and businesses underwater, and all this damage is going to be costly. Find out how these storms may impact our economy.
Hurricane Irma is moving quickly up the East Coast. For more on its effects, watch next.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
Exploring, it's the lifeblood of the mission.
Human beings are a curious bunch.
What are we going to see when we get really close?
Wow.
Just because an idea is crazy, it's not necessarily wrong.
We were on our way.
You don't get anywhere until you've tested the limits.
That carries an intensity you can't imagine.
You could hear people just, whoa.
Oh my God, absolutely spectacular.
It's a rush.
We ask a lot of our heroes.
We are at a remarkable moment.
We're going farther than any exploration ever has.
Tickets are now available for the annual Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Journalism Luncheon, held Thursday, October 19 at the Sheraton Grand Phoenix. Join media industry and community leaders in honoring award-winning co-anchors and co-managing editors of the PBS NewsHour, Judy Woodruff and the late Gwen Eiffel. To learn more or to purchase tickets, call 602-496-0482 or visit cronkite.asu.edu/luncheon.
We have power lines down. We've got debris all over the state. We're going to rescue everybody. We're going to try to get everybody back to normal as fast as possible, but everybody's got to be patient.
Authorities now say the death toll from Irma stands at 42, and the impact from both Irma and Harvey is expected to cost the U.S. economy more than $290 billion. This cost includes disruptions to businesses, higher unemployment rates, damage to infrastructure, and property damage. Although the Southeast has been hammered by Hurricane Irma, Arizona is lacking in the rain department this week.
Christiana Fadul is in the Weather Center to tell you more about Irma's journey and about the Arizona heat.
Hurricane Irma has moved up through Florida and is now going into Georgia, where the Atlanta area is sure to be affected. However, in complete contrast is what we're seeing here in Arizona currently. Right now it is 106 degrees and it is very hot with a humidity of 30%. Moving into the forecast for the entirety of the state, we are seeing those hot temperatures in the mid to lower part with 104 in Lake Havasu, but up in the Grand Canyon up there it is a bit cooler. But moving into the valley, we are seeing those warm temperatures again, ranging around the hundreds to the 90s. In Whitman, it is 99, in Phoenix, 103, and then in Florence, it is 101. Then for your 7-day forecast, we are seeing the temperatures kind of drop a little bit here from Tuesday to Thursday, and then when we move in all the way over to Monday, it drops down to 98 degrees, a cloudy day with our low of 77. For Cronkite Weather, I'm Christiana Fadul.
It's been more than 2 weeks since Hurricane Harvey devastated parts of Texas, but the recovery efforts are still ongoing, and several Arizonans decided to jump in and help. Cronkite News reporter Bridget Dowd was there as they headed out to the Lone Star State.
As the sun came up, the trucks were packed and ready to go. Valley resident Che Tor says when he heard about the devastation in Texas after Harvey, he knew he wanted to help.
I gave a call to my buddy Jason. It's like, hey Jason, you want to go to Texas to help with the volunteer efforts? And his response, yeah, I would love to. And that's how all this got started. And we started fundraising, donation drives, stuff like that.
Tor, along with a group of his friends and colleagues, gathered early Friday morning, getting ready for the 20-hour drive to Texas. Among them, Nicole O'Reilly.
Just seeing the amount of destruction that is left behind, it broke my heart because, you know, in our business, we help people find homes, and these people are losing them.
This group of Arizonans set up several drop-off points throughout the valley to collect supplies for the victims of Hurricane Harvey. They have 2 truckfuls. As you can see behind me, they've collected toiletries, toilet paper, toothbrushes, anything that they could think of that victims of Hurricane Harvey would need.
About a dozen volunteers from all over the valley are a part of this aid group. One man even bringing along his family, including his 15-year-old daughter, Mikkel Zimmerman, who lived half her life in Texas.
I have a lot of friends and family down there, and I want to help in any way that I can because I'm pretty close to Texas. My brothers were born there, and so it has a special place in my heart.
Zimmerman says she knows joining the relief efforts will be hard work, but she's ready to help those who need it most. In Chandler, Bridget Dowd, Cronkite News.
The crew plans to deliver supplies and help with cleanup efforts before returning to Arizona tomorrow. One Valley boxer may have her dream crushed by a critical national debate.
Coming up on Cronkite News, we'll go inside the ring of a young woman fighting for DACA, how Congress may be able to save her career.
Third Rail with Ozzy. The new weekly show where we tackle the taboo and debate the tough questions with some of the most interesting minds in the game. I'm Carlos Watson. Electrifying conversation. Friday, only on PBS.
Fridays, it's at Cronkite News, your social sharing connection where you choose the news. Facebook likes and shares, tweets, retweets, and favorites. YouTube views and subscriptions. We're watching you watch us. From our digital home at cronkitenews.azpbs.org to your television, web browser, or mobile device. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Then join us for at Cronkite News, our weekly refresh, each Friday at 5 on Arizona PBS.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, the impact of recent hurricanes on Arizona gas prices. And the Phoenix Symphony celebrates its 70th year in business. That's on the next Arizona Horizon.
I'm John Yang. On the next NewsHour, we're on the ground in Florida with the latest on the aftermath of Hurricane Irma. That's Monday on the PBS NewsHour.
One Valley boxer's Olympic dream is in jeopardy because recipients under DACA cannot leave the country. Reporter Nicole Gutierrez sat down with Leslie Hernandez, who hopes to compete on Mexico's team.
19-year-old Leslie Hernandez has a winning record in the ring, but after finally earning her spot to be a competitor in the Olympics, it can all end within months. She picked up the gloves when she was just 10 years old. Hernandez became a professional boxer at the age of 14.
I always wanted to go Olympics for boxing.
Hernandez has been in the United States since she was 7 years old. She's under DACA, which at the moment not only puts her stay here in jeopardy, but her spot in Mexico's Olympic team as well.
I was the first female ever in the state of Oaxaca to win a gold medal in a national tournament. So I was the first one there. And that's the state I'm representing.
A dream of nearly a decade, and her future is at stake.
The cancellation of DACA, like, it's sadly not letting me go follow my dreams for now, for the rest of the year. You know, had a lot of tournaments going on this year. Sadly, I'm not gonna be able to make it to those tournaments, and I'm gonna lose, I'll probably be losing my spot, my #1 spot.
For this Valley boxer, boxing means more than just winning titles.
Mexico's never had a female boxer go to Olympics, you know? And being the first ever female boxer to go to Olympics, that like opens a lot of doors for you.
Hernandez couldn't compete for the U.S. because she isn't a citizen, even though this country is the one she calls home.
I've done everything here. I've gotten the help of everyone, of work. I've been to school here. I started boxing here. Just a lot of things, and everything I have is like here.
Unless Congress enacts new legislation to protect DACA recipients, the program will end in 6 months. In Phoenix, Nicole Gutierrez, Cronkite News.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thank you for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
God, I'm gonna die. God, take care of my girls.
I felt a jolt.
You could not see your hand if it's right in front of your face.
It looked like a fog coming in.
I brought these people to a window. We can't get out of here.
Everything came crashing down on us.
This is not the way my life is supposed to go. Is this how it ends for me?
Tonight at 9 on Arizona PBS. Explore new ideas and new worlds here on Arizona PBS, a community service of Arizona State University.
Tickets are now available for the annual Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Journalism Luncheon, held Thursday, October 19 at the Sheraton Grand Phoenix. Join media industry and community leaders in honoring award-winning co-anchors and co-managing editors of the PBS NewsHour, Judy Woodruff and the late Gwen Ifill. To learn more or to purchase tickets, call 602-496-0482 or visit cronkite.asu.edu/luncheon.
Coming up next on Arizona PBS, Life and World.
Hi, I'm Charlie Rose. As part of the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication at ASU, Arizona PBS is providing a state-of-the-art venue for the next generation of journalists. From newsrooms in Washington, Los Angeles, and here in Phoenix, students engage in real-time, real-world news reporting, broadcast production, and online innovation. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS working together in new ways to bridge the classroom to the community in the digital age.
Coming soon to Arizona PBS.
In a time of kings and princes, power was in the hands of the few. Then, one man broke through. His name, Martin Luther.
Tuesday night at 7 on Arizona PBS.
We are bound together in the most extraordinary ways.
In the 90 minutes it takes for us to orbit the Earth, we can see that humanity has spread all over the globe.
These are the inventions that brought us together.
This massive increase of at least 2 billion people is unprecedented.
For the first time, we can illuminate the countless ways we are bound together. This is our world. See it in a whole new light.
Wednesday night at 7 on Arizona PBS. Support for Arizona PBS comes from viewers like you and from
Friendship Village Tempe, a retirement community for over 30 years, offers independent living with residency options, lifelong learning classes, as well as continuing care. Information at friendshipvillageaz.com.
Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, employers are reacting with concern over the end of the DACA deportation protection program. Also tonight, the Phoenix Symphony celebrates its 70th anniversary and the experiences of local Hispanic veterans who served in Vietnam. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Federal prosecutors behind the criminal conviction against former Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio now say that they agree with Arpaio's attorneys that the entire case should be tossed. It's after President Trump's pardon of Arpaio 2 weeks ago. U.S. District Judge Susan Bolton has yet to fully dismiss the case and is still considering Arpaio's request to vacate the conviction. Arpaio was convicted of contempt of court for intentionally disobeying a federal judge's order to stop MCSO traffic patrols that targeted immigrants. The Trump administration's decision to end the DACA deportation protection program means a significant element of concern and uncertainty for employers who've hired DACA recipients. Joining us now is attorney Matthew Thomas of the Thomas Law Firm, which has hired DACA workers. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
The rescission of DACA, I mean, in general, what does it mean to employers?
Well, undeniably, the rescission of DACA is going to have a significant and negative impact on employers all across this country in a wide variety of industries, and that the federal government is now requiring them or forcing them to eventually lay off some of their best and most productive workers just based on